Good morning, good afternoon, listeners around the world. I'm your host, Kristian T Harris, and this is The Rundown Live. The Rundown Live out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. If you haven't had a chance to yet, make sure that you guys head on down to TheRundownLive.com, where we have the latest in information and technology and news and politics and just about everything out there we're covering these days. Check out TheRundownLive.com. If you haven't had a chance to it yet, we are on multiple different kinds of platforms. Check out the Google Play Store, iPhone App Store, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, you name it, TalkStream Live. We're all over the place. And today we have a very special guest. Bruce Montalvo will be joining us, pseudo protege of Jordan Maxwell. He'll be talking about symbolism. He's a former NBC news broadcaster out of Los Angeles Talk Radio, and it'll be a great talk show today. If you haven't checked it out yet, make sure you do. Tell your friends to tune in, share it, make watch parties, do whatever you can do to spread the word about today's great program, because we're going to have a lot of riveting conversation today. By the way, we will have open lines. 1-833-939-1776 is the phone number here. 1-833-939-1776 if you want to get your calls in. But we'll just be talking about so many different issues and conversations. And when it comes to symbolism, many people know that I've been all over the place discussing this. I've been on GCN discussing symbolism. And, even today is Thor's Day, the almighty Thor. And we'll be talking a little bit about that. But we all know about symbolism. If you tune into the show, I talk about it often. The magic behind words, how even our alphabet is riddled with symbolism. The capital A is the all-seeing eye in pyramid. The capital B is the number 13, the number for rebirth and being, reborn. It's crazy. And when we look at things, even like the letter B, to be correlated with the worker bee or builder bee, and we must ask ourselves, who are the builders of our modern time? Isn't it the Freemasons? And what do bees do? They get involved in a hive mentality with the royal order under a queen or a queen bee. What does the phrase alone mean in our society, to be the queen bee? If she's the queen bee, does that mean that's the one that everybody wants? And what is a hive mentality? Hive mentality is a unified mentality where only a few will know the esoteric secrets beyond what is considered fact. This can be seen in our modern world in a form of sustainable development, smart growth, common core curriculum, the United Nations Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, Trilateral Commission, Bohemian Grove, and all these different top secret social clubs. We can talk about smart grids, smart meters, smart cards, smart roads, smart refrigerators, smart TVs, smart lights, smart guns, one world religion, and global government, but it all ties in. Even the church has not been protected from the doctrine of global government and the mystery religion. The bee also has been used to represent witches and warlocks, and it's very possible that we are teaching witchcraft in our schools to this very day. A lot of people don't realize the terms that we use in our modern day language. They are the ones that are behind the hive mentality as far as the globalists. Regardless of what you may have heard, witchcraft in its purest form is nothing more than a tool. Neither good nor evil. It is something that people can use. And I believe after this broadcast, you may never look at words and symbolism in the same way again. And I hope that my message and our message today does fall on fertile ground, just as spring is coming up in the next few months, because that's the time of growth and rebirth, to grow your ideas in your mind. Every day, people across the world use words and have no idea what they mean. Their origins and fundamental understanding of esoteric history behind them. What does it mean to spell? And what is magic, spell, and spelling? Where did it come from? And when was it first used? The science of putting together symbols to make words which reveal meaning is the term we use as spelling. It's not called wording. And there is a esoteric reason for this. It's actually far more sinister. The magic spell and spelling was the original purpose of the word, according to the Egyptian legend of the Egyptian deity Thoth, or Thoth, or Thoth. Thought as in thinking, although all the origins of this deity, the words themselves. The Egyptian god thought is synonymous, in my opinion, with the biblical Enoch or Gregory or the Judaic Metatron. Metatron is where the term metadata comes from. And, what is Metatron? Metatron was the scribe of God who wrote many books and basically record everything that we do every day. So the term metadata was not by coincidence. It was strategically selected because of the magic behind its meaning. Metatron was also the highest in the angels and serves as a celestial scribe recording angelic behavior. The name originated in a matter of the origins of the name obviously are a matter of debate, but I'm telling you right now, it's not a coincidence at all. Also related to this conversation we'll be having today, the term rite or writing is significant as well, for it contains the word rite as in the ceremony or ritual. This word is usually related to, like, let's say, secret traditions utilized to assist one in living magically. Also, the word right is the same sound of the word right, R-I-G-H-T. Right angles are 90 degrees or a square. The 90 or number 9 speaking numerology is found in all sacred geometric angles in some form or another. Word is also similar with the word wood. A log is a bulky mass of wood, and logos means wood in Greek. Or excuse me, word in Greek, not wood. Word, wood. I keep getting verbal disasters here. But in the Bible, book of John, it says in the beginning was the word, or logos, was with God, and the word was God. The word lodge, as in Masonic lodge, comes from the word logos. This is the only place the magic word cannot be uttered, considering Jesus, who is called the Word of God, was a carpenter that splits wood, and may be important in this point because he split the lodges when he went to mystery schools. It discussed many different viewpoints and ideologies. A letter is like a streamer of acceptance, or one who lets and allows. Letter says surrender and let her, letting the infinite intelligence flow, letting from form words or worlds which whirling chakra energy. The word letter is made up of the words let and allow, ter as an earth or terra. The dot also forms a point in a circle that represents the Egyptian god Ra. When we tie letters together, we then are presented with the term curse. When we stitch them together, it is cursive. Or the science of stitching together symbols, or the process of making words, essentially is what it means. When we connect these symbols in one fluent motion, giving the illusionary effect of it being a single symbol, this is cursive. When this is done, it is believed that the mysteries to have mental and supernatural and magical effect on you within the spell, or the spell and the spelling itself. Have you heard of a gold star, silver star, red star system in school? Interestingly, the pronunciation of period or yod being the name of the smallest Hebrew letter, being the first letter of the name Jah or Yahweh or Yeshua. In light of considering a period which stops or stills a sentence, one is reminded of a biblical injunction. That injunction is, be still and know that I am Jah. It is powerful to have understanding, as Jordan Maxwell has said, or stand under of knowledge, or know the ledge, add wisdom or wisdom. And we can go into these different aspects, but I'm really excited to have this guest today. This guest today is Bruce Montalvo, and he is another person who is researching something sacred that very few people tend to have an understanding about or go around and tend to do research in. So I would like to introduce to you guys Bruce Montalvo. Bruce, are you with us here? Welcome to the Rundown Live.
Hello, Kristian. Hello to your audience, and hello, Rundown Live.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty great program today. I'm really excited about conversation. It is Thursday.
That's right.
I was like, what's your favorite day of the week, bro? He's like, Thursday. And I'm like, I'm in. You knew when we were on the same wavelength, the same level. And it was like a jinx. If there was a texting jinx, this was it, because it went around at the same time. We both said
it just clicked. It was like, the hammer dropped, literally, right? The hammer just Bing, Thursday. Let's do Thursday. No, I've been flying. I was on vacation with my wife, and I put on the Marvel, Marvel superheroes movie, and they're just outward with the Thor and the Greek mythology, and you have Thanos, which in Greek mythology that's Thanatos, right? And that it's the personification of death. So I mean, Marvel, and you see Spider-Man doing the devil horns when he hits you with the web. I mean, it's all out there, man.
Isn't it crazy, the symbolism and how upfront it is, but people don't recognize it every day? I know that there was a movie recently, I'd say recently, I'm old, so about 7 or 7 years ago, that was put out by Oliver Stone, which had upside down pyramids flying in space. I forgot the name of it. It had Tom Cruise in it, but the symbolism was there, and I acknowledge this symbolism when I see people in the music industry. They kind of do the little pyramid thing with their eyes or their hands, and then they put it up to their eyes, or Jim Carrey with
Jay-Z.
tongue.
Right.
It saturates our culture, symbolism, and people don't recognize it as a language entirely of itself.
No, that's right. It's aimed at your subconscious, the collective subconscious of the masses, because it's a language, and that's why I wrote this book, The Language of Symbolism, so that people could see what I see. It's kind of like my they live moment. You know what I mean? Because I've pretty much been a professional conspiracy theorist my whole life. But doing the whole talk show thing has been about, 10 years. And I started off with marching in front of fake news CNN in Los Angeles with We Are Change. And then I did some work with InfoWars on, again, this subject of predictive programming and 9/11, intertwined. And also investigative journalism on scene, like yourself, at the murder assassination of Michael Hastings. I was there. I was one of the only guys to get the eyewitness, one of the testimonies from an eyewitness that the LAPD didn't even want to talk to. So I mean, it was definitely sketchy. There's all these conspiracy theories out there that the FBI rigged his car and the car slammed itself into the tree. And I was literally there with Guerrilla Media Network as a reporter then, Pete Santilli's thing there. And we were there, and I got to talk to the eyewitness, and he was shaken to the core, like he saw something, and he didn't really want to say much because he just, he could have witnessed this dude's car being remote controlled. And that's why I think nowadays, it's one of the most dangerous times to be a conspiracy theorist. You talk about the bee and the hive mind. Well, that's what the news wants you to think. They want you to think that Michael Hastings was like some crackhead. But in reality, he was just a journalist similar to the rest of us. And if you get in too deep, they got a kill switch now.
Oh, no, that's just it. So, Hastings, his buddy Joe Biggs, he's been on this program before, one of his best friends, allegedly. And, his engine shot out of his vehicle, and they said the car rested up neatly against the tree, and there was no damage. And they put a tarp over the whole vehicle so people couldn't really...
I saw some of the parts, man. It was all over the place. The engine just totally just jettisoned right out of the car. I mean, it looked like a scene out of somewhere where he had been investigating, like Iraq or something, where he'd been doing journalism work or something. Because, it looked like something was used there, some military high-grade stuff to make his car explode like that. I mean, it was just bright orange, too. If you see the footage back in the day, it's kind of indicative of some type of explosive, some high-grade military explosive. Similar to what you see on 9/11. You want to go back to be old school. Get old school with it, with 9/11 truth. You there?
Yeah, nanothermite they allegedly used, and there was independent studies that found nanothermite in 9/11. But yeah, Michael Hastings former Rolling Stones writer, said he was onto a big story. And I was curious if it was the same big story that Andrew Breitbart was onto, and that later on became Pizzagate, which was fake until they Jeffrey Epstein recently killed himself, allegedly.
Oh, that's
allegedly,
right.
Allegedly.
Shout out, yeah. Hashtag Epstein didn't kill himself. What's up? That's real journalism right there. At its finest. No, but about that, the symbolism is out there too, because apparently the FBI had a dossier with all these symbols that can identify these pedophiles, and it's shocking because if you apply that to your local neighborhood and even local pizza parlors around you, you'll see that a lot of that symbolism is there. It's kind of scary.
In ordering a slice of pizza is, child pedophilia ordering. And I actually talked to Titus Frost, who's done a lot of investigation into child trafficking. And I met him at Bilderberg in 2017. He's also known as one of the anonymous people who's exposing Q and the whole fraud there, which is run by, essentially, from my understanding, the former Obama administrator from Twitter. It's crazy, like symbolism and these things it's a whole language. So yeah, big hand, big heart, little heart, big triangle, little triangle. And I was at Walmart and they were after Pizzagate, they were putting those symbols on clothing. Yeah. I was like, Titus, check this out. They have hats for $7 an hour. This is the Pizzagate logo and they're selling it in Walmart. Why is Sam Walton he's dead. But why is Walmart selling Pizzagate propaganda? It's to normalize it. So, it's on a hat. It must be a conspiracy. Somebody saw the hat, and they're like, that's Pizzagate.
Yeah, you look around, you see Burlington is probably nearby, and that's a heart within a heart, and that's, Pizzagate symbolism, pedophile symbolism. So Burlington has it as their main logo. And again, you mentioned Walmart, and that's the seal of Solomon, or the same type of symbolism you see over at CERN in Geneva.
Or 666 in the Google
that's right.
logo. And people don't understand that. One of my buddies, Fritz Springmeier, he does a little bit symbolism. He does more on, etymology and the bloodlines and things like that.
I've had him on my show also. Yeah, he's an amazing guest. Yeah, the bloodlines of the Illuminati. Yeah, awesome guest.
I also had the opportunity to interview former Illuminati man. He's a verbal disaster. Illuminati. I'm thinking Illuminati as I need a
L. That's right, like the sky god. Yeah, L. They have the Israeli airline, Air L. Right? That can't be a coincidence either, right?
Right. Oh boy. But, when he talks about symbolism that everyone uses, like the monster can and the three and means the mark of the beast, and it's called Monster. And believe that's Michael Savage's son owns Rockstar Energy.
What do you know?
Yeah. It's interesting to see all the symbolism, and that's just some of it. Once we get into Masonic symbolism, Knights Templar symbolism, but in my opinion, I think that the initial understanding by William Cooper is accurate, that it is the mystery religion. And it's funny, I gave actually I filled in for Dr. Leonard Coldwell, and I gave a whole 3-part series on symbolism. And nice. Dorothy Mackey contacted me. She's Albert Mackey's granddaughter, and Albert Mackey is the author of the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry. And she said, you don't know how spot on you are talking about the symbolism, Nimrod, Semiramis, the sun, the moon, and how majority of these gods that people partook in, believing the pantheon gods, all stem from Mystery Babylon religion. But the more I research it, I'm starting to believe it has something to do a little bit more with Atlantis, according to Manly P. Hall and other people who I believe that may bring a different viewpoint.
Right. No, and as you said earlier, I've been very fortunate as I'm gathering information. I've been gathering information for the release of my book to have friends and people helping me like Jordan Maxwell, kind of like in my ring in the corner giving me advice, and pretty much helping me shape a lot of the stuff I put into the book and, what I wanted to focus on. So it's a great thing to have someone like that also, just aid you with the information that he has amassed over the years. Much like yourself, Kristian, you had a library of knowledge and information.
Yeah, and what's really scary is I've been dying to write a book. I've started a book. I've got chapters of a book I started to write called All Roads Lead to Babylon, dealing with symbolism and talking about how we get our traditions. Okay, hey, let's talk about this. Christmas is coming up.
That's right.
A lot of people don't know where we get the symbols for Christmas. So Nimrod was this fire deity, and he believed that the world was destroyed by God, and he was so upset that God destroyed all these great creatures, the Minotaur, Centaur, giants, and all these, beings of renown. Most people would call them Nephilim, cherubim, all these different versions of names for these type of beasts and beings, which were listed in the Book of Giants, Book of Enoch, and things like that. And he wanted to get the people to be on his side against God. And when you start researching it, you start to find out that when Noah was there, the garments of skin, which came out of the Garden of Eden and given down the bloodlines, was given to Noah, and it was stolen by Ham, who is Nimrod's grandfather. And when Nimrod put on these garments, he became strong like Nephilim, and he was godlike. And he believed that so hard that he could get the people's control, but he found that the only way was to instill more fear in them than God did. And so that's when he started initiating things like child sacrifice and other things. And also Hermes, who told I keep killing your name. Everyone's like, why do you call her Semiramis and it's Semiramis? Or, she was told by Hermes that if she had incestuous relationships with Nimrod, he would receive the all-seeing eye. Hence why they inbreed to this very day.
You say Hermes, and I talk about in my book. I talk about all these logos and corporate logos. What's Hermes now? It's a handbag, right? So you have all these occult logos, such as the Ouroboros. It just represents itself in many of these Fortune 500 CEOs. Companies, they might use it as for protection or many other purposes to bring them wealth, protection. But you do see the occult in many of the, for instance, many of the automotive logos, the car industry.
Starbucks, they have Siren, this chicken. She's got her legs spread like she's a porn star. From everybody who's ready to put their mouth around her.
Oh yeah, all the seamen, all the sailors and the seamen, right? There you go. No, but like I was saying, the car industry, automotive industry. You talked about the witchcraft earlier, and you see it in Mercedes, the Mitsubishi logo. They're all the triquetra, the triquetra, the Trinity knot, the Trinity symbol, and then you see it. Again, in a Netflix series like the Dark, this Netflix series has to do with time travel. All that they show you the Trinity knot, and it just goes on and on.
It's crazy. We're bombarded by it, but the thing is, people don't realize there's power in these things. There's power in ritual.
Right, it's literally the flower of life right in front of you, and then it's the Kaaba, the cube, it's all there. If you break down Kaaba Allah, it's literally like cube God. Kaaba Allah, cube God.
Or Israel, Isis, Ra Elohim. That's
right. That's one of the anagrams, or the way to break it down. Again, it's the occult that have been feeding us this information. The Jesuits or the dark insiders that are telling us, oh yeah, that's what it is this week or this week. But a lot of us, we're putting the information out there ourselves. Like me, I'm not a traveler. I'm not with the club, the big club that they beat you over the head with. But I'm just a normal guy that, like Jordan Maxwell says, an ordinary guy pursuing a extraordinary truth.
Well, and that's just it. A lot of people have no idea what they're being bombarded. It's predictive programming, a lot of it, but it's genetic revelation too, because our ancestors and everyone understand what these logos and these things mean. When we start looking at things like, the holidays, and we're going to partake in rituals.
Well, the days of the week, like we said, you have Thor's Day, you have Monday is obviously Moon Day, and then you get from Judaism the worship of the moon, and Saturn's Day, Sunday obviously is Sun God Day. So there you go. It's in front of it. The holidays, it couldn't be more obvious than the holidays.
Well, it's really interesting.
Talk about Thor's Day.
The holy days, holiday.
That's right.
For the holy day. And when we start looking at days of the week, obviously Sunday is the day of Nimrod, the first sun deity. Hence why was it, I believe, the last emperor of Rome, the first pope of the Catholic Church, Constantine, combined the mystery religion with Christianity because Rome found himself threatened by the modern Christian church. And he became the first pope and the last emperor of Rome, and he combined the secular sun worship religion with Christianity, hence why we now have saints in the Catholic Church. It's the pantheon gods reborn as new deities, and that's why we go to church on Sunday.
Many gods, many faces. You have from Attis to Mithra, the whole religion of Mithraism, and even taking the sacred communion was literally LSD mushrooms.
What? Really?
Oh, absolutely. That was the original communion. So my research leads me to believe that's the road it takes me to Rome. Also, all roads lead there.
At the first NSA, they called it confessional.
That's right. Oh my goodness, no, you don't want to know what they do in that confessional either. But they're disgusting. But like I was saying, my book. It pretty much just lays down a lot of the symbols from the corporate to the garment to the music. You see it. You see how they just keep using esoteric symbols. I mean, like the A10, for instance. You have the Chrysler and the Bentley. The A10. It goes back to even Zoroastrianism, even before Egypt. They have this in the cars all over the place. You could walk in a garage, a car garage, to go get your car, and all the cars everywhere have occult symbols on them, and nobody cares, nobody knows. They're just driving their car.
Satan mobile.
That's right. No, you have the Trinity knot in the Toyota. Like I said, Mitsubishi. It's all over the place.
Well, first of all, for our listeners, I need to break down the definition of Satan. Satan means adversary. If Bruce and I play tennis, he's Satan.
That's right.
And then when they talk about Mystery Babylon, Satan, because it's the adversary of God, it's sun worship, hence Luciferianism, hence Nimrod is the first Lucifer. And in the Masonic Encyclopedia, guess who the founder of the craft of Freemasonry is? Nimrod.
Wow.
Right.
He's the reason they put the little lights for Christmas, the Roman Emperor Nimrod. And speaking of Satan, the music industry is obviously pays homage to him because the mythology says that Satan was in charge of the music in heaven, or the harps in heaven.
I bet he threw up a hell of a concert, though.
That was man. Well, you seen that concert he put on with Jack Black, right? When they were having a rock off. Oh man, Satan could really rock. Let me tell you.
Well, I mean, he's appealing, and so that's where we get to the issue. So the Catholic Church takes over the religion, holidays. So let's break this down real quick because we're coming across Christmas. And the sun deity Nimrod, it was said that when he died, if someone lit a Yule log in their fireplace, Nimrod, would fly down the chimney, and he would come under the puff of smoke and then leave presents. However, when his son died, Tammuz, Semiramis cried for 40 days and wept and brought forth an evergreen tree, and that's where you get the Christmas tree. And why we got Santa Claus is an anagram for Satan, who is the adversary of Lucifer. Lucifer is Nimrod. Nimrod in Greek is Nicholas, and therefore we get Saint Nick. And people don't realize the magic behind the words and the connection.
Well, he's Thor, isn't he? I mean, he's also Thor in a way.
Well, yes, he could be Thor. I personally have the belief that his son Tammuz is Thor because Odin is in Woden's Day or Wednesday was
That's right.
Thor's dad.
Right, and his mother, Thor's mother, was Friday. It was Frigga, right?
Frigga. And Frigga is another name for Semiramis because what happened is when Nimrod took over, he created the first world order. And that's why they refer to the New World Order as the New World Order, because the old world order to unify the world was done by Nimrod. And that's why pyramids all look and ziggurats look like they were all built by the same Masonic hands. It's because they may have been. And people lived longer.
Right. And you also have Krampus. You know, he's kind of like the satanic anti-clause, the Germanic anti-clause. And then I heard you mention the Yule log. Well, I think Scandinavian folklore has the Yule cat, to where if you don't get a new sweater before Christmas, I mean, he comes and I think he kills your entire family or something. I don't know. Something bad happens.
That sounds like a great holiday treat. Don't worry. We're going to come and we are going to kill you.
Oh, man.
That's what we do.
Because you didn't get a new sweater.
Right? I want a new sweater. But even that, the present giving, and it's a ritual. And a lot of people get a lot of good things out of Christmas to give. And that's not inherently a bad thing. But we see groups all the time, like the Outlaws, which are big here in Wisconsin. Their headquarters is here. They do Toys for Tots.
That's nice.
All these organizations do great things. Doesn't mean that there's all bad people or there's all good people, but we need to understand the history of where these things come from. So when Nimrod's son was born, it was Tammuz, and the way he was born is because when Nimrod died, Abraham cut his body parts into 14 pieces and sent his Balak back to Semiramis, who reanimated it and had an immaculate conception of Tammuz on December 20.
Right.
Good.
And I hear you say the word Abraham, or mention to Abraham, but it's also Abramam or Abram.
Yep.
Right? So, I mean, I tend to question a lot of these mythical characters in the Bible, whether they exist or not. To me, they're more of a metaphysical kind of representation of something, of some type of information that is trying to be transpired to you. It's like Saturn, for instance, you see the Toyota symbol, Saturn, it's a frequency. And a lot of these symbols, they are tuned into that frequency. The elite has them to where it protects them, brings them all sorts of money and riches. But with you, I mean, it's kind of like the Alpha Romeo symbol. You see the Knights Templar flag, but then you also see like Quetzalcoatl devouring a man. Because if you cross them, if you try to double cross them, they will literally devour you like a snake god being, which is what they've been known to do. You see the flags. Many of the flags also have esoteric symbolism. I put that in my book. The flag of England, or for instance, that's the double cross. That's obviously esoteric, right? You have the Leviathan cross, or some African nations have a pentagram, satanic pentagram, or sun worship is prevalent in many flags. Argentinian, you have the rising sun, or Japan, and the Kurds have a sun. Uruguay, you name it. So I mean, that's the frequency that some of these symbols have. Also, it goes to the whole worshiping an idol. Right? They have you worshiping their symbols, bowing down, buying their products. So it's pretty unholy. They capture your soul in the end. If this mindless commercialism, I think, has a way of capturing one's soul, which is how they have the whole grand chessboard, set up.
Well, and that's how it comes down. And you say chess, and it's very Masonic. But
that's right.
We start talking about these things, I get really excited. Because a lot of people don't understand these things. Because Semiramis was the first moon goddess, and in Miller Lite, that's where you get the lady on the moon from.
Oh man,
My
right.
favorite beer. Maybe you're drinking Moon Goddess. That's what you're drinking. And
it's probably light beer, because the moon is a light according to the Bible also, right? There's the lesser light.
And it's not Light though, it's Lit.
Ah.
So It's fascinating, and also the term Anno Lucius, which Freemasons put on their bricks, means year of the light bringer. When you look at etymology and what year was the light bringer, it's the one that they allegedly put on their cornerstones, which have squares and compasses, and just like the Egyptians do, built in there. And I'm not saying Masons are inherently bad. There's a lot of great Masons out there.
Yeah, well, some of them they like to help their community. You know, it tends to be like the 360-degree like crazy sorcerer dudes. They got like magic coming out of their hands, like Mysterio in the new Spider-Man movie. Those guys are guys you got to watch out for, right?
In Star Wars, he's shooting lightning. He's got the holy hands. You know?
That's right, man. The Palpatine with the electric hands. You will die, Skywalker.
Jazz hands. We call them jazz hands.
Oh, man.
But a lot of people don't understand that Tammuz was slain by a wild boar, and that's where we get the ham from Easter. And Easter is another name for Ishtar. Ishtar is Semiramis. And also, did you know that the Statue of Liberty is Semiramis? It says right on the Medal of Honor that it represents Semiramis, and that's the Whore of Babylon. She literally greets people into the United States, and we have Washington, D.C., which is laid out like a pentagram and aligned with Osiris's belt. Just throwing out there coincidence.
So she's waving out there with her hairy armpits because she's French.
She must have been a fox, you know. That or she was really ugly because she couldn't do any better than sleeping with her kid.
Or it could be a dude. One or the other. You know, the Statue of Liberty looks pretty doodly. Looks like Serena Williams. I don't know. Pretty buff to me, man.
Yeah, dude, there's some...
I see an Adam's apple there, too, at the Statue of Liberty. I don't know. I'm not sure about the Statue of Liberty. She's got a lot of bulky clothes, too, so you could definitely you're covering something up for sure.
It's supposed to be an image of liberty and freedom. Back then, our forefathers already knew the symbolism. Looking at the statue of George Washington doing Baphomet poses and Luciferian poses.
Oh, yeah, the as above, so below. You know, you mentioned New York City, and that's where I met my wife, Jaja, the rapper Jaja. But
she was on MTV, wasn't she, or was it VH1? I got it.
VH1, right? You got it right. She was on there. She was on there one time, yeah, with them, but a bunch of rappers and everything. Yeah, it was nutty. What was that?
I think it was a contest, wasn't it? She was on one of those rap battle shows, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm old, by the way, so I remember this stuff.
No, I remember it too, man. VH1, it was the white rapper show. Anyway, I went out there, you know, we met, and it's amazing how much symbolism is all over New York. I mean, you see the statues. There's so many owls, owls of Athena, like at Brooklyn Tech, for instance. A school, they got these giant owls, and above them it's like the pineal gland. And what's even crazier is these owls, they're standing there and they're looking at the children from high above, and they look like they got boners or something. So they're looking at the kids and they got like little boners for their knowledge. It's kind of creepy. But they got owls everywhere. I mean, the Masonic Lodge around the corner right there in Fort Greene has swastikas, and I mean the BAM. The theater has swastikas, and again, the swastika isn't an evil symbol. If it's inverted the way the Nazis did, I believe to the left, it's evil. But it isn't an evil symbol. It goes back to Hinduism. It was considered a good luck symbol at one point.
Yeah, it's prosperity, and you're right. Symbols have a lot of power and they have meaning, and so do rituals and tradition. But the thing is, we're talking about magic and words and all these things.
That's right. You got to spell a word, right? To say a word, you got to spell it. You got to make a spell.
And you got to cast it.
That's
and
right.
By the way, term grammar in the archaic sense is the laws in which magic is directed and must follow.
It's really an amazing story. It really is.
So, you know what other word is similar to grammar that's very same as glamour, and there's nothing more glamorous than Hollywood. And we all know where Hollywood comes from. It comes from the holly bush. That's what they make the magic wand out of.
That's right.
Hence where Hollywood. As we dance to the tune of the magician or let's say conductors. They use, I think your homie Jordan Maxwell said that.
Yeah.
So, well, he said it more eloquently. But
Merlin has a wand also. And Mickey Mouse had a wand from Fantasia.
Really? Yeah, I remember that.
You see
I
that?
wasn't around that, but I've seen it.
He just wielded absolute power with that magic wand, or like the Masons use a magic wand in their ceremonies, or in Judaism they have a pointer, that's with the hand that's like a wand. They use this wand over. I mean, it could also heal you. That there's wands that have healing energy, that have this quartz crystal energy at the tip, infused magnetic energy.
See, I don't know a whole lot about the whole quartz thing. I know my friend, life coach and longtime friend Bryn Beemick, she talks about power of quartz. I know quartz has storage capability like of the gazillion terabytes, and has ability to store a ridiculous amount of data and be like a hard drive,
right?
And that there is power in it. And I know that there's cleansing quartz, and certain colors have different powers. And I don't understand it all, but I do know there was one research I did into, and I did some research into time travel. As an independent journalist, I found it fascinating. There was this guy, Stephen Gibbs. Have you ever heard of him?
No, I have not. No.
He created the hyperdimensional resonator, and he used to sell it for $230. And he said it was a time travel device.
Man, so he's like a real life like Doc Brown from Back to the Future, right?
Right. And literally, there's people who have bought this device and made tons on the stock market. And he's never had one returned. And he went to go make a life-sized one where people could travel in time through, and the government stopped them from going to Canada. And he lives on a farm, but he makes it with a bunch of Radio Shack tools, and he put a quartz crystal in there, and it has to do with astral projection. But he says physical projection is also possible.
So he made his own flux capacitor, and DARPA shut him down, huh?
Hey, DARPA is pretty ahead of it, Project Pegasus.
That's right. Yeah, I thought they've been doing that since the 80s. But if you go and look at a movie like Back to the Future, for instance, you talk about time travel for a minute, you see a lot of 9/11 symbolism in that. And then you also see a character that might remind us of somebody that we see today. We see a whole lot of, maybe Donald Trump, for instance. I mean, who could Donald Trump have been in that movie? I don't know, maybe Biff? Right? I mean, he got his hands on the Tesla papers, and basically Biff gets his hands on that almanac, and he's able to have all these casinos similar to Mr. Trump, President Trump, and it very much mirrors Trump in a way. Back to the Future with the character of Biff. I mean, the internet's all over it. Also, you see memes being propagated.
I thought you were the first. I was going to just say, bro, you got to make a meme because that sounds spot on.
Well, I follow the internet, man. I'm just watching it like a hawk. So I know when they might be onto something. And, I've watched the movie for years, and I think they're onto something, because one of the casinos in Back to the Future, obviously, I mean, this Biff guy dresses and acts just like Trump, the Trump we know. But it's called the Paradise Hotel. I mean, what recently happened, under Trump's presidency, the Paradise fires in California, that this is a reason why I think it's very dangerous to be a conspiracy theorist, which I am, because it totally looks like they use directed energy weapons out there. And, I mean, they're targeting houses out there. So in Paradise, the Paradise Casino, it's just, it's too much of a coincidence for me not to raise an eyebrow.
Well, I've had this barometer, and I've been very scared to say it on air. And I don't know how many people have made this correlation, but it's like I don't know if it's a prophetic instinct that I have just from growing up, and literally biblical growing up in church and stuff like that. But the seven trumpets of God, and then the first trumpet in Donald Trump.
That's right. Oh yeah, it's definitely symbolic. Yes.
And what are the seven trumpets? What are they going to happen? So maybe. I'm not really into the whole Left Behind, A Thief in the Night, the old nostalgic rapture, because I believe the rapture is a hoax, and it was developed as a scare tactic, and
Yes.
churches have been mistranslated because it's supposed to be the coming of a new age, not a new world.
Right.
We're going into the age of Aquarius, but people
Which
don't
is what's
realize
happening now. It's totally happening now as we speak, Kristian. We have, you mentioned holy and Holy Bible, right? Well, the first words that I get out of holy and Holy Bible are whole. A whole. Holy Bible, the whole. Right? Where is this hole? I mean, there's a giant hole if you go up north, right? The polar vortex is just a gaping hole. I mean, have you seen this, the footage, right? The supposed footage of the polar vortex, the Russian footage?
I'm just letting you know, first of all, I live in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And their polar vortex, because global warming is definitely not happening here.
Oh, no. That's a bunch of malarkey. Global warming.
Are you serious?
What?
Are you telling me that the Earth is not getting extremely hot and I can be wearing shorts in November and playing basketball at Grandma's house and things?
Oh, well, that's all courtesy of your friendly neighborhood government man who's out there geoengineering the skies. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's snowing out here in Arizona where I'm at. How do you explain that?
It's fake news. You know, chemtrails, they're not real.
Oh, no. No, don't you know Joe Rogan and Edward Snowden said there's no chemtrails, so there's no hoopla, there's nothing for us to talk about.
You know what's fun? My homie Kristen Megan was on Joe Rogan, and he tore her apart, and she's a whistleblower talking about aluminum and barium and things like that, testing the soil. And no one knows why these bees are getting Alzheimer's disease, but aluminum is the number one cause, and they're definitely spraying something and doing geoengineering. And Edward Snowden, he's smart, and I will tell you, we have friends in common. But
you know, where's Waldo's friends?
None of us.
Where's Waldo?
What was that?
I said, you know, where's Waldo? Because that's who Edward Snowden reminds me of. Where's Waldo? I don't know. There he is.
You know who doesn't is Julian Assange. He reminds me of somebody in jail that's being persecuted for something he didn't do. So I mean,
and soon he's gonna remind you of Epstein because Julian Assange didn't kill himself. That's the next big hashtag they're gonna have out.
Dude, don't say that. People's like, no, you're right. Like, it just hit. Like, it's like, are you serious? And you are serious, and you're probably somewhat accurate on this. It's kind of scary. Because,
it's the dark comedy I dabble in, man. I found myself after all the symbolism and all the talk show and the trying to be a serious reporter. I just ended up just really being into dark comedy. You know what I'm saying? It's just
Donnie Darko and I like the Whitest Kids. I've met and had Timmy Williams from the Whitest Kids on the show. Trevor Moore. I've just had a conversation. I actually gave Trevor Moore a Illuminati card deck, and he loved it.
You're right, the Steve Jackson. Yeah.
But they're a sitcom comedy, but they do dark comedy and they do offensive. Like, their stuff is not for the politically correct. And if you are a Gen Zero, I call it. They call it Gen Z. I call them Gen Zero.
I call them Generation Butt Wipe or Butt Hurt. They just put a little Band-Aid on their butt. Put a little Band-Aid on.
Except they build me my damn bathroom.
Yeah, man. Them and their savior, Bernie Sanders. Bernard the communist, Colonel Sanders. That's right. I'm going to start. Let me tell you something, Kristian. I'm going to start a committee where we're going to go around and we're going to see in your refrigerator, we're going to see how many chickens you have. And if you have more than 1 chicken, 2 chicken, 3 chicken, 4, oh, God help you. We're gonna take all your chickens and redistribute them with the community. That's my Bernie Sanders.
I thought you were going to say that he was going to take them away completely. This is actually, that ties right into UN Agenda 21, which I was discussing. UN Agenda 21, they want to do all those things. They want to monitor and they want to decide how much you can eat, when you eat it, what you eat, how you eat it.
It's a religion. And this climate crap has become a religion. First it was getting hotter. Now it's getting colder. I mean, it's called weather, you dumbasses. I'm sorry. Right? I mean, the sun, oh my God, it's hot because the sun is really close to the earth. It's not 99 million miles away. You're experiencing the heat because the sun's kind of close to you.
You're experiencing the heat because I was born, and everyone knows I'm hot.
Oh man, sizzling. Arizona, you can fry an egg out here in Arizona. That's how hot. You want to talk about hot?
A black car.
Phoenix, man.
I fry eggs on it. I don't need to buy a frying pan. Just you need to go out. The Ford is cooking out there. Can you go ahead and throw 3 Sunnyside Easy some non-stick spray on that hood, and we'll get those eggs nice.
Don't forget the bacon too. Oh man, I've been eating so much of it lately. The American treat, man.
I dated a girl about 7 or 8 years ago, and she was pretty intelligent, but she believed bacon was mind control. She came out of Silicon Valley.
Oh my God.
She plastic. She definitely was Barbie-like.
She might not be wrong, bro, because I mean Edward Bernays said something about you gotta smoke your cigarettes, have your bacon and eggs too, or something.
Yeah, and bacon, people smell it and they immediately crave it. It's like a trigger.
I know, it kicks ass, doesn't it? That's one of the great things about America, bacon.
Bacon is amazing. There's even one of my friends, her name is Bacon, and she's actually pretty rad. She's a writer, but she writes. Well, we're not going to talk about her writing career because her writing career, she decided a different means of journalism, but it pays really well. So it pays. Okay. Bacon, mind control is something that kind of really. I think controls me. I'll tell you what, I'll do a lot of things for bacon.
Man. It reminds me of that Meatloaf song, and I'd do anything for love. I'd do anything for bacon, but I wouldn't do that.
We're anything for bacon, but I won't do that. I will do anything for bacon.
And that kick-ass solo comes in.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That was my trans financial voice there when I turned into a billionaire because I affiliate with being born with billions of dollars. I talk like this. I'm trans financial.
It's okay. That kind of thing is not as frowned upon nowadays. I guess it's all right.
What, trans financial?
trans whatever.
Transformer?
That's right. Being a Decepticon. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the things with Democrats. At least if you're dating a Democrat chick, she could have a dong. At least you know that. So maybe you don't date one, right?
Well, and when you're in Australia, you know what you do? You just do the handshake like in the Crocodile Dundee, where you just grab a chunk and.
I'm gonna grab you by the pineapples, mate.
But here that's called sexual harassment. There's just checking. I was just checking to see if you got the cash and prizes down there, because that's not what I'm into. I'm rather into going into the cave and searching for treasure.
Oh man, this is some good stuff. It's nutty.
Hey, you know how it is. But it is. It's the programming. It's ridiculous. But this is exactly what we're talking about. I want to bring it full circle. The magic behind words, definition bending. Controlling definition is magic because it's controlling your mind to what things mean. You can't have a brown paper bag. I'm sorry, Hermes. Brown paper bags are illegal in Seattle. It's just one of those things where you can't say certain terms. Certain terms are offensive.
Right. No, this climate thing. It's climate worship, climate change worship. It's a religion, and now if you offend them. I mean, literally, they're getting their secret police, Nazi secret police, ready to maybe one day take you away if you offend them and their bullshit science. The word science itself, I hate that word, man. It's like, it literally is the stupidest word. I think it's just a stupefying word, science, because it means. In its essence, it means dividing of knowledge. So who are the dividers of this knowledge? And, what are they dividing that I don't see or that you don't see? How much of the pie did they divide? So what are you really getting? You know what I'm saying? It's this bullshit science. And I think that's what we're going with in 2020. There's this, it's really like this mass awakening. And like I said earlier, the whole or the holy, though you have the Holy Bible, and you know, you see the aurora borealis out there, the green, and that green symbolism, or the green color, you know, it's the color of Osiris for one. His skin was green, the color of money. So I think something's happening right now, something big for 2020, and it's got something to do with the polar vortex and the aurora borealis and the color green, bro.
Bro, 12 years, we're all dead. AOC,
oh man,
still.
That's right. Maybe they're talking about that. Maybe you think they're kooks because they're talking about some climate change bullshit, but on the real, people don't really know this polar shift or this polar vortex that many of the ancient civilizations with their symbols talked about, like the Aztecs, for instance. Many of them, you know, the Doomsday Aztec, or what is it, the Mayan calendar. They confuse it to be Aztec, but it's Mayan.
Leap year, because we have leap year now. The Mayan calendar was over like 30 or 100 years ago or something. They're like, yeah, we got leap year. We got everyone worried for no reason. And like, who thought this? Somebody's like, yeah, 2012, that must be it. But they're like, yeah, we got leap year, bro. Every year we add a day, so like our calendars aren't really, you know.
Yeah, you didn't know how drunk those monks were when they were deciding the years or whatever. You know, they could have just messed up the whole calendar by 100 years. You never know.
Yeah, we got a gear, and we're gonna throw it inside of another gear, and we're gonna spin it, and you know what? He's gonna be happy. He ain't gonna sacrifice our kid, and we're gonna tell him it's from the Almighty God. Although our ancestors come from giants.
Oh,
by the way,
man.
I'm also in esotericism. I'm known as a very popular giantologist. I stumbled upon it one night under liquid courage, basically trolling the Library of Congress, and I'm like, giant human, what? And I'm researching, they're like, giant human skeletons, 18. I'm like, how many of these are there? So I searched giant human skeleton. Thousands of articles. Well, where are these remains? They're all Wisconsin. I'm in Wisconsin. So I started going down to the Historic Society, Anthropology, the Anthropology Society, and guess what? All the research by these credible scientists who are associated with colleges, which are associated with Smithsonian, all but 2 articles out of like probably 100 were gone. Obviously, Charles E. Brown, there's like 2 articles that he researched, but they weren't the really big ones, like the 12-footers, 10-footers. It was like, yeah, this guy is 9 feet 3 inches, and you know, he was really tall, and you know, it's interesting because that's what we're getting at. Because we're talking about Aztecs, we start talking about you know, Mayans. The Mayans weren't the first ones to colonize those pyramids. It was the Olmecs, and the Olmecs had 7 giant gods, and they have 7 giant thrones.
A snake god also, the giant snake, feathered snake, and again, that's what America is said to be, the feathered snake, the giant flying snake. That's where the etymology of America comes from. So it's very similar to the Quetzalcoatl.
Who likes snakes, though? That's what I want to know. Nobody loves the snake. Nobody. I don't like snakes. I know that. So.
You can't trust them, and they're slithery and they're slimy, but you know, you see these logos everywhere. The intertwined snakes. They make the infinity symbol. You know, the 8, the infinity symbol, and
it looks just like CERN.
Right.
They CERN laid out, and then they put Shiva in front of it, and they do these bizarre dancing rituals. Where like, and then they're dancing.
That's right. Yeah, these wacky rituals.
Just like that, and then you know, so, like zombies. So.
It's bizarre. It's beyond bizarre.
It is bizarre. So, but you want to know something? I learned, if there's one thing I learned from Hitler's Germany in science and researching history, which, by the way, Gen Zers say that they shouldn't learn about World War II because it triggers them. They can't handle the truth. Probably because Hitler was a socialist, and learning that socialism kills people, well, you know, that's the all-saving, you know, green get-out-of-jail-free card is socialism. All it is accelerationism of driving the Titanic into the iceberg at full speed, which, by the way, the Titanic was insurance fraud.
Right.
It's one of those things that
J.P. Morgan.
They don't want you to learn about, but they always combine esotericism and symbolism with science, and that's what they're doing at CERN.
Or their science. That's what they've divided into what they want you to think is science, or their science. I don't know. I hate that word, man, science. But going back,
you used to over and over and be like science,
knowledge,
technology, science.
Yeah, my head will explode. That's like talk about a MK Ultra trigger word. Now science has become one of them. But going back to the symbols, the auto symbols, you see on the Lamborghini, right? You see the bull, the Moloch bull, and then Lexus. You have the giant L. Again, L. Who's L? He's the Hebrew god, right? L.
Well, it is L also in the alphabet. When I was talking earlier, how the capital A is the pyramid and all-seeing eye. The capital B is the number 13 for rebirth and reborn. We can go down the alphabet line. But yes, it's all symbolism, and you hit it right on top. L as an Elohim.
That's right. Oh, and the Pentagon. Obviously, the Pentagon in Washington D.C. Chrysler. They're the same. It's the same symbol. It's the same 5-star pyramid symbol, and of course Chevy, the Chevrolet, the trucks. That's the A10, Egyptian A10, and Subaru. There's literally the Pleiades. It keeps you. I could keep going, and that's what my book has. It shows you the symbols behind the many industries, from the clothes to just cars, you name it. It's all over the place.
Yeah, let's get into your book here just in a moment. But there's something. I just had a brain fart. Give me a second to let it come back to me.
Oh, no.
What were we talking about right before this? We were talking about... It was an important point, too. I don't know. I'm getting old, and I keep losing and forgetting things, and that's all part of it. Yeah, symbolism, though, it's interesting, and how it really is portrayed, and people don't recognize it, how it affects them, how... we're saturated with it, and what the real meaning is of the things that they wear and what they mean. You should know what it is, a symbolism, when you wear it and how it affects you. I think those things are very important. So let's talk about your book for a little bit. Give our listeners, first of all, real quick, where can they find your book, and what's the title of your book?
The Language of Symbols.
Could it be the language of women? Because that would be is helpful.
It's the language of symbols, and you can pretty much you'll be able to find it. I'll have it up on eBay. I'll have it up on Amazon. It'll be up on PDF, ebook format. And if you follow me on social media, you just hit me up on my Facebook, and I'll shoot you a copy. I'll make it very easily available. Again, Jordan Maxwell helped me with a lot of the content in this book. He helped write the preface, and it just gives you a 360-degree rundown, so to say, like your show, on all things symbolism and the history behind many of the symbols. Like I was glossing over the car industry, and obviously the gasoline industry and music industry.
Exxon has the double cross, which is also known as a dragonfly, which is by Knight's Temple.
That's right. You see NASA. NASA has the vector symbol, or like the Valero gas. They use the vector symbol, and the vector is supposed to represent a parasitic type of parasite, or a type of disease. So NASA is a disease. How about that?
Well, NASA has Nazi roots, and all the great Nazi scientists that helped create NASA. And they used to brag. Old timers will tell you that they used to sit in the lunchroom, and the Germans like, we would have won the war. And some people still believe the war is going on.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, Bilderberg is the Fourth Reich, isn't it? Started by former Nazis, and that's what's controlling the world.
Well,
but
the
that's
EU,
okay. We must accept it. You're a conspiracy theorist. if you believe that there's a Bilderberg. Now that everyone accepts that there's a Bilderberg, you're a conspiracy theorist if you believe that they're going to control the freaking world. It's just nonstop. But when it comes to symbolism, it is so important for our listeners to understand this. It's in our movies, X-Men shows, everything. Almost everywhere in music. Katy Perry, by the way, who I played Flip Cup with. I was on Vans Warped Tour for 7 years. And,
cool.
Once a musician, several as a record label owner. And I got to meet many cool people. And Katy Perry, I believe full-heartedly, for the most part at the time, she was just an innocent church girl who was singing on POD albums. And now look at what she's doing. She is basically portraying the part of, I don't know, some kind of ancient deity flying on a firework.
Oh man, she's scary. Along with all the other music industry people, they're literally like reptile people. I mean, they
look at Kanye. Kanye's church. He's hanging out with Olstein, the New World Order pond. They're all Illuminists, right. And I'm not saying even with Illuminati that all Illuminati have bad sex. It's one of those things with Freemasonry. Once you get the 33rd or 32nd, 30th degree, there's all these different like cool things you can become. It's like playing D&D. You're like, yep, I'm already an 18th level druid. What else could I add under my belt? Well, I could be a druid-thief. I could be a druid-mage. I could be, and it's one of those, I remember what I was going to tell you, bro, or ask you. It's, okay. Remember when you were talking Pentagon?
Yes.
The pentagram, or the Pentagon, it's a female symbol because it lacks the phallic. A lot of people don't realize it, and it's an emblem of the left path.
All right, so is the Dodge. The Dodge logo is also female genitalia. The goat is also a hidden symbol, and that's a lot of my work. Jordan Maxwell covered a book called. It was this book called Symbols, and Sex, Symbols, Sex, and the Stars, or the Gods, something like that. Symbols and sex. It's Symbols, Sex, and the Stars. So a lot of what I've researched comes from looking at books, the research from books like that, and you see there's a lot of sexual symbolism just all over the religion, the Christian religion. I mean, they literally portray Jesus with like a dick for abs, And in my book, you talked about Nazis earlier at NASA. Well, did you know they came up with a soft drink? They came up with Fanta. After the war, you have yourself some orange drink. You have to take over the world. Yeah.
Yeah, the orange drink. We drink there good.
With orange drink, good and tight. Yeah.
Have it. It has that great good stuff, that high fructose corn syrup.
That will kill them good and dead. Yeah. The whole Coca-Cola, right. They had products in the early...
We will give you the fluoride. We will put it in your toothpaste and in your water, even your bottled water. Was es los mit dein Kinder? It is the fluoride.
Oh, man, I'm scared, man. You sound just like Zafira. No, but in the 20th century, they had products. The Coca-Cola company would put out bottle cap openers with the swastika, and then there's a fruit company with named Swastika, and then this Kipling writer would use the elephant and swastika, and again the elephant and the swastika, that goes back to like Buddhist and Indonesia, kind of, the Ganesh and the swastika. Even around in Japan, there's street signs with swastikas all over the place. So it's this symbol that's it literally means the earth that we're on. The earth that's beneath us, a tierra firma, or the constellation, the constellations above, by the North Star.
So here we go. Now we are getting into where I wanted to go with this conversation.
That's right. Getting to the good stuff.
It's the G in Masonry. It's Gnosticism.
I was led to believe that it meant generative principle, as in the reproduction, as in sex, which is what you get when the triangle symbols. One is male, one is female, and then they make up the hexagram, also the hexagram symbol.
Well, exactly, and that's what happens when you have two circles that intertwine, and in the center where they intertwine, that's called the birth canal. One is male and one is female.
And that's the MasterCard symbol also on the...
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I've actually been in Masonic-owned buildings. I've been to a Masonic lodge when I was running for state assembly. Somebody told me that it was mandatory if I wanted to win. Well, not literally mandatory, but if I wanted better chances and support, I joined the Masons. It's a fraternity. And I noticed in all these buildings that they own that they have all the symbolism, they have mirrors, and all the stuff that represents these things. But when we start talking about Gnosticism and the Gnostics, that's the duality of where we get into the very scary, the person that everyone is scared of, the big boogeyman in the room in Hollywood, in religion, and in politics, and in school. His name is Jesus Christ. And I don't know why everyone is scared about this peaceful individual, but I can tell you the Gnostics believe it this way, that the sun enters each zodiac sign at the 30th degree and exits at the 33rd degree. Thus it's said that God's son starts his ministry at 30 and dies at 33, just like Jesus in the book in the Bible, God's son, S-O-N.
What do you know?
And that's why it's said that no Freemason can raise higher than a 33rd degree, because no one can be higher than God's son.
That's right. And what walks on the water every morning? The sun.
The sun. Yes, it does. It sure does.
And what's the light of the world? It's the sun, because if the light of the world don't shine, that's your ass. We're done.
And what brings rebirth and gets reborn every year because of the sun when you get into spring. And the reason why we have that is because the signs in the sky on the times of December 25th and thereabout about the winter solstice, the sun hangs in the sky for 3 days. Thus, the Son of God is dead in the sky on the crossbar of the equinox, hence the cross, and is brought forth after 3 days. It starts moving and comes back to life.
Absolutely.
Brings life in spring. And that's what the Gnostics believe. And that's why Christians say you must be careful about the duality if you believe in Christianity. I'm just telling you for your information. I believe my own thing. People believe all different stuff. But I'm telling you, this is what Gnostics believe. And they're very accurate and smart and ingenious in many ways. And the Rosicrucians, by the way, the Rosicrucians, a lot of people don't give them credit, but, they have whole books on the Illuminati. And you find out what the real Seal of Solomon is if you read esoteric Rosicrucian books.
And their symbol is the Chevy symbol. They're behind many of these Fortune 500 companies. The people behind them are part of the Freemasons. And
that's one of the most powerful organizations next to the Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts.
And the Boy Scouts have the same logo. They have the Fleur de Lis logo, the Masonic Fleur de Lis logo. So it's like training. It's like training, the little kids to be Masons.
So I want to get off the topic of symbolism for a minute, because I got to ask you about some of your journalist work. I saw that you we're going to get into some of the paranormal stuff. Because I saw you interviewed the guy from Ancient Aliens, George Tsoukalos. Did I say that right?
Sokolos, or whatever, yeah. Sokol. Yeah, I don't know how to say it. Yeah, it's like a Greek name or something. But, that was back in the day, bro. I'd go to the Conscious Life Expo in L.A. back when I was in California, and I'd run into great friends like Jordan Maxwell and people like now deceased Jim Mars, rest in peace. I know you met him. You met him a couple of times, and I got to hang out with Jim out there, and he signed a book for me. I hung out with him at his table. He was selling some books. He gave me an interview, and he was on my show once, and I got to hang out with people like that, and I got to talk to George Norrie up there, and that was another year, but the year the before that, I talked to the guy from Ancient Aliens. Yeah, the guy with the hair.
Yeah.
The guy looked like he got spooked by a ghost or something.
Yeah. I don't know what his hair, like his stylist must be like. You're out of your mind, and now he's everywhere in memes. But I have to stop.
Well, he's getting older now, so his hair's probably falling out. That's back when he had more hair.
I spent a weekend roughly with Jim Mars. He was at a conference that Judith Baker threw with Roger Stone and Sean Stone and a bunch of people I got to meet. It was a JFK, and I was like, Jim, I started talking to him, and we had friends in common, and I was like, hey, let's get a frosty beverage. But we were talking, and I always, you know what I told Jim? I was like, Jim, whenever I see you, I want to say, welcome to Jurassic Park.
He looks like the guy that's running the research, absolutely, with the little hat and everything.
He's like, you don't know how often I get that. I'm like, well, let's stop wrestling. He laughed. He loved it. And he's like, he gave me his card, and we exchanged numbers. And hold on. Let me see if I still have it in my phone. Jim Mars, hold on. And there it is. Right here, Jim Mars. There's his number. Since he's dead, for all our listeners, right there, Jim Mars.
It's his little calling card, right, with the gold writing.
Yep. And he was talking about JFK, but I wanted to talk to him about secret societies ruled by secrecy.
Oh yeah, he was totally spot on when he wrote the book, The Fourth Reich. The rising of the Fourth Reich, because the Nazis, they never lost. If anything, it's more proof. If you want proof that they won, just look at NASA. Business is booming with them, right? That's proof that the Nazis won. Operation Paperclip.
Hitler never died in World War II, and he was
That's right. Where did he go? The FBI supposedly has files, submarine files, that he was transported to South America, allegedly.
Yeah, he went, so the JFK file released, there were 7 pages on Hitler, how he went to Ecuador and waited for 10 years so he could be tried for war crimes, and then went into Argentina, which was the rest was history. And there's a lot of people out there that believe in, there's one of my favorite conspiracies. I don't believe this, but I'm entertained by it, is the Nazi moon base conspiracy, because Hitler claimed that to rule the Earth, we must first rule the moon. And obviously, New Schwabenland and the Antarctica UFO, the Hanabu, Die Glocke.
They had a plan. They had a plan to supposedly blow up the dark side of the moon.
Yes, comes as
a plan to nuke it.
Where do you think they got Star Wars from?
Yeah, right. Oh man, but again, that's all just a bunch of hubbubaloo, because if anything, they're interested in Antarctica. Yes. That's where they went. That's why they were so close to Argentina, because that's where most of their technology. I mean, they developed the UFO technology. I mean, what is it? Charles Fort talked about the UFO technology back in like 1908 or something, and early in his books. And the Nazis picked it up, and put it on stamps in Bavaria, right? In the early 30s, they developed the whole UFO thing. So I mean, they're not unidentified. I mean, the whole Nazi secret space program. I just said it. It's run by Nazis.
This is true. It is very much so. Nonetheless, Bruce Montalvo, you've been a great guest. I'm excited that you've been on. I'm going to have you on again. We're going to have to switch some context. My homie Chase Kletchka, she's used to be the former head of MUFON, former master trainer, master instructor in the Department of Defense. I think
Master Chief.
Yes. So plug your stuff. Let our listeners know where they can get your book, when it's out, if it's already out. Where Amazon, where can they all find it, your website, and when your show airs, and where they can find your podcast, and I'll link it all here on the Rundown Live.
All right. Well, I'm glad that you're on TalkStream Live now. I'm also on TalkStream Live Mondays, 6 p.m. No, it's Mondays, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, Fridays, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. The Bruce Montalvo Show, Spreaker.com/The Bruce Montalvo Show, and my book that I will be releasing by the end of this month, The Language of Symbols. You can find it on eBay. You'll be able to find it on Amazon, and you just message me, Bruce Montalvo, on Facebook, at Twitter, and I'll send you a copy. I'll sign it for you. And just I want you to know. I want you to know the occult world that's around you, and I want you to see what others don't and others can't. And that's what I think my book is. Its mission is. It's trying to do that for you, to open up the esoteric world of symbols, to make it visible.
Fascinating conversation today, Bruce. Thanks for joining us on the Rundown Live. And maybe we're starting to open a store. Maybe we'll sell your book for you.
That's right. And hey, that would be amazing.
We'll have to have you back on. Let me know. In fact, on your release date, if you don't got another show to be on, let me know. I'll get you on this program.
Oh, you rock,
we'll
man.
talk your book. If I can get an early copy, I'll read it beforehand. That's the kind of topic I love. It's my passion.
You got it, man.
For joining us on the Rundown Live, Bruce Montalvo. Everyone, check him out. Find him on different internet options. He told you he's all over the place.
TalkStreamLive.com. Bruce, yes. The Bruce Montalvo Show. You find me there. You find the podcast there.
And we'll link you there and everything else. Thanks again for joining me tonight. I'm your host, Kristian T Harris. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. The Rundown Live. We're going to have more exciting guests, more exciting talk, and we will be here live 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Find us all over the place, everywhere. Just search Google The Rundown Live. You'll find out all about all the crazy stuff we've done. We're out of here. I'm your host again, and thank you, everyone, for tuning in to today's program. We'll see you soon. I'm out of here.